Hello everyone, this is Max TSH, and in this short tutorial, I hope it will be short, we are going to actually make a page in reactjs which will have two buttons and a simple iteration function, and I'm going to show you how to iterate through an array by clicking on next or previous button. You can implement this feature into your applications, like, for example, paginations, or maybe a slideshow, or anything else that you are going to be using in your applications and your JavaScript code. So let's dive into the project. I'm going to create an RAFC functional component in my React application. I've already imported this example.js file into my app.js here, and I gave it a route by React Router DOM. In this actually example.js, I'm going to do an array, create an array of numbers from 0 up to 100. So let's actually create it. So we will have a numbers array assigned to empty value, empty array. We will have a for loop. If for let I equals 0, we are going to check if I is smaller or equal to 100, then I plus plus, and we are going to push the I into numbers array. So if we console.log the numbers here, you're going to see that we have an array from 0 up to 99. So it will be actually 100 numbers in this array. Okay, let's actually clear this line and go to the next part. In this level, we are going to create our iteration function. So we are going to create a function called Iterator. Iterator, if I can spell it right and correctly. Okay, it seems it's correct. Okay, and this function is going to get an array, and then this function is going to be returning an object, which in this object we will have a next function. Oops, if I can get this correctly. Then a next function, and in this next function we are going to be returning actually let me define a next index here, because we are going to actually iterate through indexes. We are going to return, and we are going to check if next index is actually less or equal than array dot length. If is that, we are going to return this object, which the value is actually array of the next index plus plus. With this value, we are going to actually grasp, or actually take the next index. We're going to actually assign next index into this array, and we're going to take it out. And also a done value of false. So it's not yet done because it's already lesser than the length of the array, so we are not yet done. We are not yet finished. And otherwise, else, we are going to do done true. So in case it's done, in case this condition is actually not true, we are done, and the done will be true. Okay, and the other function will be previous function. So function previous. In this function we are going to also return next index if next index is greater or equal than 0. So if we are not yet actually back to the first index of the array, we are going to do this actually function. So if this condition is not yet actually done, we are going to return this object array. The value will be the array next index minus minus, and also done false, so we are not yet done. And if we are done, we will set the done to true. Okay, so this is actually the basic iterator function. Now we have our iterator here. So on the next part we are going to instantiate our iterator. Num iterator will be iterator of the numbers array. As I told you, we're going to pass an array into this iterator, so we want to give the iterator this numbers array. So I just passed the numbers array into the iterator. Okay, so I think we are done with the functionality here, but I will explain we will need to do more than this in our functionality in this part, because there is actually a bug with this code here that it won't work properly as we are actually expecting it. So for now, let's actually create our front end side and our HTML tags. So we are going to have a div with a class name of result, and also h1 with a class name of show. Show, and two buttons. So a button here which will be previous, and and a button here which will be the next button. Okay, now we are going to assign on-click methods on these two buttons here. So we are going to actually have an on-click event listener. On-click event listener. While we click on the next, this iterator function will actually be called, and the number proportional to the index of the array will be shown in this result part here. Okay, so we will have an handle previous function here, and the handle next excuse me, a handle next function also here. So we are going to declare them. We are going to actually define those functions. So handle next will be a function. I'm going to give it event parameter and e.prevent default at first to prevent the default behavior, and also I'm going to duplicate this here in order to declare my handle previous function. Okay, so right now we have our functionality here. Let's check on the page. Okay, we have two buttons here, but there is no result here, so the result will be if I put one, the one number here, the result will be shown like this. If we click on the next, this will be 2, and if we click on the previous button, this will be actually -1 0. So I'm going to delete this one here, and the problem is that with this functionality and with this iterator here, there is a problem. If we click on the next button here, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and etc. But if you click on previous button here afterwards, you will see that it will actually jump to the next number. So in order to have that fixed, in order to actually fix that problem, I'm going to assign this next index into a component state value in order to actually have it in our state and then check it from the state and change it from the state. So I'm going to call the hooks use. We are in a functional component, so we must use hooks. So I'm going to actually take the use state hook from React and also declare my hooks up here. So const index and set index use state. Our first index is 0 because we declared it here. It's 0, so we give it a 0 number here. We are going to declare, instead of 0 here, we are going to declare the index value to this next index here, and also on the next function we are going to change the next index, change this set index into next index. So we are going to say set index next index. We can't set this actually index here because it will give us an error saying that we can't actually use an constant variable in this set index. So we must use this next index because it is declared with let, and we can change the value of this actually variable. So I'm going to say the next index will be next index plus 1, and also with this previous function here, set index and next index will be next index -1. Okay, so we have our as the user clicks on the next button, this next index will get its actually a number from this, which is declared and instantiated by 0 for the first time, Then we will set it into the next index by plusing it, adding it a 1 number. Then this one will actually give us the value of the next index of the array, this numbers array. I hope that is actually understandable. If you do it yourself, you will understand and you'll see by yourself. So just actually after watching this video, you do it by yourself and you will see. Okay, so another thing that we need to actually save into our state is the next value of the num iterator. So I'm going to actually declare that here. So the result, I'll call it the result and set result. Each result of the iterator function will be stored in our state as a result actually variable. So use state, and also I'm going to initialize it with this number of 0. So at first it will be 0. Okay. Now here I'm going to set result of num iterator dot next dot value. So what actually this line here does is it will give us the value of the next index of the array. So the next index of the array and the value will be assigned to this, and we will set it into our actually state. And I'm going to do the same thing here with this one. Set result num iterator dot previous function dot value. I'm actually calling the next and previous function in the name num iterator. Okay, I think everything is good and done. The functionality is now completed, but we are going to call the result here. So we want the result to be shown here, result. Okay, I think everything is good. Let's see, let's check it if we get any errors or not. Okay, so we have the 0 value as the first result here we declared. Now I'm going to press next. Okay, fine, it works. This is the one, it is the first number and the 1. On next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you press this, you will actually reach to the end of the array, which is the number of 100. And the previous, okay, the previous button is working fine and the functionality is good. So now we have this iterator and this functionality correctly implemented in our example.js, in our app.js, actually a reactjs component. And as you can see, we have two states. The first state is our index, and the next one is our result. Okay, actually I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be posting my tutorials more often later, and I hope you will enjoy it. Until the next video, and I'll see you, and good luck.